Hey y'all, it's Kasim with Solutions 8, and in this video, I want to explain why we've opted out of client communication channels. And my hope is, A, I'm able to, maybe acquaint some of our potential inbound clients with our policies, and then B, help some of the people out there that might be struggling with this decision themselves. So if you're a business owner, especially if you're an agency owner, I think that this might contribute to a conversation I'm sure you're having internally. So the question is whether or not to include yourself in a client communication channel. And here's what I mean by that. Each of your clients is going to have separate Slack channels that they might want to add you to. They'll also potentially have different project management utilities, message boards, forums, whatever it is that they're using. Maybe they want to add you to their Monday.com or Basecamp or Asana. We have made the decision internally not to include ourselves in client communication channels. And if that's a deal breaker for the client, we totally understand, but that's actually a client that we won't take. And I realize that that's a really strong stance, but that should be an indication as to how important this decision is. What you're going to encounter when you include yourself in client communication channels is quite a bit of disparate communication coming from various conduits. And what's worse is not all of it's relevant to you. As a matter of fact, I would say most of it is not relevant to you. So if you end up inside of a client Slack channel or Slack account, excuse me, even if they have channels that they're adding you to that are specific to what it is that you're doing, most of the communication that you're going to see isn't really relevant to your exact role. So I think that the project management tools and the Slack channels are really good for obviously in-house employees, close-knit contractors, vendors that are working in a multifaceted arena, let's say like somebody who's a full funnel marketing agency, for instance, that's doing everything for you, your entire back office. They absolutely should probably end up being in your Slack and your project management tool. And if you're that agency, then I think you should be more receptive to that approach. For us, because we're very myopic in scope, we're only running the paid advertising, and a significant amount of our work is white label in any case. It not only didn't make sense to us, but it was actually it was difficult to manage. And if you don't mind just changing paradigms for a little bit and assuming this from my view, there's quite a few difficulties associated with it. So from an employer's perspective, it's now hard for me to fully keep my team accountable. I don't know what's going on inside of your Slack channel unless you add me too, and I don't want to be added in there. And like the department heads who are on top of that department would need to be added. And so in terms of some of the redundancies that we have in place in order to capture communication, or if somebody's out sick or doesn't show up to work or gets hit by a bus, some of that ends up being one degree disassociated because we now no longer have control over these communication conduits. It's also really hard for us to rope in our team members. So, instead of working inside of our sandbox and in our ecosystem, we're now working inside of somebody else's. And so the ability to cross-pollinate and communicate the way that we would need to in order to align with our processes kind of goes away. And so from an employer standpoint, it's really difficult. From a client manager standpoint, I think it's damn near impossible. We've got over 100 clients now. And so if you can imagine having 100 different Slack channels from 100 different clients, each of whom communicates in very different ways. Some of them are, maybe a little more discerning about the channels that they're adding us to, and some of them are just adding us to everything. It makes it very difficult. So it's not that we don't want or value your business. I'd absolutely love to work with you if this is something that that's on the table. But we have made, I'd say, a very strong decision that's non-negotiable at this point, and that is not to include ourselves in ancillary communication channels outside of what it is that we've already defined for ourselves internally as a company. So the best way to communicate with us is via email. That's it's the tried and true old trusty. We've tried adding clients to project management tools in the past, and that ends up being the same problem, just reversed for various other reasons. And hopefully you probably can empathize with that a little bit, because I'm sure you've had that same experience. So if you're on the fence yourself as to whether or not you should do this, I think that it's really worth. It's a balance of risks. You want to weigh the risk reward ratio here. If you are a full funnel agency, if you do a lot for clients, if you might as well be an in-house team, then I think that it might be worth considering. I don't encourage it. I don't think I'd ever do it again. As you can probably tell from my tone and my tempo, there have been enough issues with this particular topic that it made the decision really easy and really clear. So, but I mean, everybody's different and everybody's needs are different. And by the way, if this is a deal breaker for you, I totally understand. Like, this isn't me saying that this is the only way that it should be. I just think that we're not going to be the right agency for you. The way that we're structured doesn't really lend itself to that type of integrated cooperation. We're more of a connected resource that has a very clear defined start and stop. Hopefully that's well stated and I didn't just offend everybody who's watching. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I realize this isn't necessarily Google Ads specific, which is part of really what we're trying to commit to on the channel, but I think it's valuable and I think it's a good conversation. I'd be really interested in what you think too. If you're an agency, do you add yourself to project management tools and Slack channels and those things for clients, or do you stay out of it? And if you're a client, do you agree or disagree with what it is that I'm saying? Let's get the conversation going. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see a video every day. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.